Hey guys, this is Dennis, the founder of Think Hero.
And I'm David Griffin, your resident comic book and video game guru.
And this is our review of Game of Thrones, Season 4, Episode 7.
Mockingbird.
Yes.
I almost said Mockingjay. I was thinking of the Hunger Games.
All right. So yeah, what a great episode this was.
Yeah.
So let's start in the main stuff, Tyrion, King's Landing.
Gets visited by the three ghosts of Christmas, past, present, and future.
Yes.
Some great conversations.
Well, we'll start off with Jaime. Basically, it's kind of the aftermath of the trial. Like, Jaime's pissed because Jaime was willing to sacrifice so much for him, and Tyrion kind of just threw it all away.
Right. I mean, these scenes, what I love about them is you not only get to know more about Tyrion and what he's thinking, but about, I guess you'd call him the closest thing he has to friends. First and foremost is Jaime, the one who's always supported him. And that was a great scene. I mean, he's like, he admits to being like, it was good to spoil father's plans.
Exactly. And it was good to tell everyone off and all that stuff. And then Jaime made a good point. It's like, is your pride, worth your life?
Right. Yeah.
Like, and also basically that I can't fight for you. He lets him know I can't fight for you because I would lose.
He would lose. He would get his butt whooped. And I like too that Tyrion kind of made a jest about him sleeping with Cersei, and he's like, "Careful." He's like, "I'm the only friend you have left," and he's like, "All right, I'm sorry about that." But it was such a good moment between those two.
Yeah, and you can see now more than before that they have a relationship. They have a good relationship.
Right.
It's basically the only good one in the Lannisters.
Yeah, it's not easy being a Lannister. There's so much treachery and people wanting to kill their own brothers and sisters and some incest. It's not easy. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get on to Bronn. Like
that.
I did not expect to see Bronn like that. I knew Bronn probably wasn't gonna fight for Tyrion because the way he is. I mean, they've set him up as okay.
He's a sellsword.
He's a mercenary. He gets whatever. Whoever pays him the most. And at this moment, Cersei has all the power and the money and the position and all that stuff. Of course she's going to, buy him off. And But I didn't expect him to come dressed like that, though.
Yeah, like, he looked good. Got some new clothes.
He looked all frou-frou, man.
Yeah, I know.
Mr. Fancy
Even
Pants.
bowed. He's like, my lord. Like, even bowed. And I like, though, that he didn't end up being a bad guy. He's just practical. He's like, look, man, I like you. I just love myself more. I thought that was a great line.
It was a great line. He also said, I am your friend.
Yeah.
But when have you ever risked your life for me? Because he hasn't.
He just buys everything. He just buys his problem. Tries to basically just buy his problems away. Wants to survive, and he's like, maybe I could beat the mountain, but if I danced around. But he's like, I should be scared of that dude. He's like, I mean, and like you said, Tyrion has never done anything for him except give him money.
Yeah.
Just tries to buy his problems away. That's it.
And I like that they kind of acknowledge each other, that they are who they are, basically, and they accept their faults. And they know, Tyrion knows what kind of person Bronn is. Bronn knows what kind of person Tyrion is.
Yeah.
And at the end, when they, leave things,
they make peace.
They make peace. Yeah. But I mean, in Bronn's mind, it's like, well, this is the last time I'm gonna see
Tyrion.
you
ain't getting out of this. Buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was good. I mean, I love their camaraderie. I mean, they're such good characters ever since they were introduced. He fought for him up in the Vale and defended his honor the first time. I mean, all these conversations, all these visitations Tyrion had were just so good. I mean, Jaime, Oberyn, Bronn. I mean, they were so good.
Yeah. Well, let's speak of Oberyn.
Yeah.
This was my favorite sequence in the whole episode, and this is an episode filled with great scenes.
Right. I agree.
Just him coming in there and giving that story, because we know that kind of all this kind of hardship that Tyrion has grown up with, being a dwarf, between his father and his sister and the rest of, I guess, the kingdom.
Everybody looks down on him and makes fun of him in a sense, but in Dorne, they don't have any stipulations with bastards. They like them, they're respected, and even like you said, like tells a story, like with dwarves, like the outcast, basically Dorne seems to embrace outcasts. They don't seem to have the same prejudice that the rest of the Seven Kingdoms do.
And this is a story that Oberyn tells Tyrion that Tyrion himself doesn't know.
Yeah.
That gives insight into him. And I mean, Peter Dinklage, his acting, his reaction to it was fantastic.
Like I love that scene. As soon as Prince Oberyn says, all I saw was a baby, like you just see him like start choking because for once he heard his birth story from a perspective of a guy. He's like, look, I see you as a human being. You're not a monster. You know, I don't think Oberyn, they're going to be best buddies necessarily, because Oberyn's got his own scores to settle.
His own agenda.
He's got his own agenda, but he's like, you're not a monster. You know, like, and he acknowledged him as a human being. I don't think Tyrion gets that too often.
Yeah, and you know, he was telling how he was disappointed that he didn't get to see the monster with the big head and the red eye and the claw and the tail and all that stuff. But then, you know, telling him that, oh yeah, and then Cersei showed us and basically, you know, grabbed his wiener and tried to like yank it off. And Jaime, of course, stopped it.
Even back then, he was still sticking up for Tyrion.
Exactly. It just tells you so much about where they are today. And this is a story about them way in the past when they're just children. Yeah, and I want to say this because I know that Peter Dinklage, he's getting all the accolades, which he deserves. He's the first name that pops up in the credits. He's probably I don't know what their pay scale. I mean, he might be one of the highest paid actors there. That's fine. But I think Pedro Pascal. Oh, he's awesome. He's just, I mean, as Prince Oberyn, has just he stood toe to toe with Peter Dinklage in his act. He's great. Well, he's the best new character this season. He is, like last season, I thought, what's her face? Diana Rigg as Olenna Tyrell. Yeah, she was great too. Yeah, was the best addition this year. It's definitely Pedro Pascal. Yeah. He's just telling that. So because you hear him speak outside of interview, he doesn't really have much of an accent. No, he doesn't. Sounds like a regular dude, just like not much of an accent, but he's just kind of bringing this new character to us. I think he's doing a great job. Yeah, so, and then of course when he he's like. What did he say? He was like, "Oh, I'm looking for justice," and Peter and Tyrion's like, "Oh, if you come to find justice, you come to the wrong place." And he's like, "No, I found the perfect place." The perfect place, and he grabs like the torch. Yeah, he's like, "I will be your champion." Yeah, exactly. The music comes up and everything, and the look on Tyrion's face. He's like, "Yeah." Well, it's like relief and all this, all this emotion in there. So they're getting ahead of myself. We have 2 weeks. We have a little bit of a break. 2 weeks. We got Memorial Day weekend coming out over here in the States. The next episode is called, I believe, like The Mountain and the Viper. So we get to see, the Viper is, Prince Oberyn. We know that, at least from his reputation, that the dude can fight. Yeah. So, but if you've seen the next week's previews, they show like 1 second of the fight. Oh, yeah, that's ridiculous. And you see Prince Oberyn is like this big, and the mountain is like gigantic. Yeah. Speaking of the mountain, we saw him killing people, Cersei checking out. This is the third actor playing the mountain. They just can't figure out which guy they want to get to play this role. The first one... he was in Spartacus. He ended up going to Spartacus. He was in Spartacus, yeah. The second one was a temporary solution. It was like, I think, a stunt actor or something like that. Yeah, we didn't see him very much, yeah. Yeah, he showed up in maybe one episode in season 2. But this guy, I was showing Dennis earlier that he's there's a nice picture with him. I don't know if Lena Headey tweeted it out, but there's a picture of them together, like I think offset or something like that. And he is a world's strongest man competitor from Iceland. I think he's 6'9", 415 pounds. Like they basically found the biggest dude they could find. And he looks the part. I'm sure he probably can't act that well. I mean, all these dudes say, "I fight," he says like, but he looks great. He's huge. He looks great. So everyone's waiting for that. Of course. It said 2 weeks. Right. When I told some friends, I was like, "Oh, 2 weeks." They were pissed. They're like, "What?" I love watching Cersei just like walk over the guts and gore with she doesn't even flinch. She's like just smile. It's kind of like a she's excited. She's like, she's happy. Like you're in looking good form. But she made one fatal mistake. She picked someone that has a past that someone would want to fight him for. Right. Yeah. Someone had to be a little crazy, but Prince Oberyn is a little... He goes all out. He likes to experience everything. Yeah, he's definitely a man of passion. He is a man of passion, yeah. All right, so let's go back to Dragonstone and go see Melisandre and the prince... I forget her name. Stannis' wife. Stannis' wife, yeah. Chris Van Houten has no problem bearing all in front of the screen in her bath. Although that was actually, I feel like we're gonna talk about Jon Snow in a little bit. I feel like these two scenes were forgettable. Very forgettable. I mean, they're good scenes. It's just that compared to the rest of the episode, which is so good, especially with all the stuff with Tyrion. Yeah. I feel like I didn't focus on this as much, but no, I'd almost forgotten about the Melisandre scene. But I'm glad we at least got to see more of Stannis' wife because I feel like she's very underused because Melisandre kind of takes up the screen. She dominates, and obviously Stannis is there. We get a little more insight, I guess. The
there's a prophecy, something like needs to happen where Stannis' daughter needs to come with them when they take their journey. So, I mean, that's, you know, I guess that's some insight into there. And, you know, Melisandre kind of admits that some of the stuff she does is for show.
Yeah.
We got some
Deception,
of that. So that's
lies.
interesting. Yeah.
It was weird. She was trying to explain that, like, somehow through the deception you see the truth. Like,
Right.
you have to go through the deception.
Right.
I don't know, but we'll see that hopefully play out later.
Right.
So now on to Jon Snow. He comes back from Craster's Keep.
Right, and Sir Alistair's giving him crap again and again. I mean, he can't get anything going. I mean, he's got a good idea. He's like, let's
seal off the tunnel.
Seal off the tunnel. But the one builder who you can tell, I think agreed with him. He was like, no, I don't agree. And then kind of put his head down. And, you know, he's basically under the thumb of Sir Alistair and the other guy who was formerly of the
Knights.
the Gold Cloaks.
The Gold Cloaks,
The Gold Cloaks, who's also a jerk. Everybody's against Jon Snow, even though because he's just a steward and he needs to like clean out the chamber pots and stuff. So he can't get anything done. Again, not a bad scene. Just there's so much going on in this episode.
Exactly.
Again, you kind of forget about it. And I think he and him and Sam are going to get punished. They have to stand guard at night until I guess 2 weeks or something until the wall, everybody's going to come down from the wall or from the north.
But there's kind of some foreshadowing when Jon Snow's talking about the giants.
Yeah, that was good. I like that.
The giants and them coming in and possibly knocking things over, knocking the bars over, and so hopefully we get to see that later on this season. In some sort of when Mance's army descends down on the wall.
Right. Yeah, and then I guess moving. Let's talk about Dany.
Okay.
You know, Daenerys over there in Marine, holding court, doing her thing. And it starts off with a nice little romantic scene. Daario, I felt like this episode, I'm like, okay, I think I started to like him now. I didn't dislike him. It just took a second to get used to the new Daario because they changed cast. And then I'm looking at the guy, I'm like, okay, I think this episode, I'm starting to like him now.
Well, he snuck into her private chambers, which basically says he could kill her at any time that he wants.
Oh, yeah, he's a badass, yeah.
But they're just basically trusting him because he's, in love with her.
Yeah.
And, she decides.
She has needs. She has needs, yeah.
She decides to get some.
Let's do it.
Now she's on the other end where she's the ruler and is ordering him to strip down and get naked. And so, and then she gets her needs fulfilled.
Yep. I love that scene with Jor in the morning. He's like, oh, hey, are you here to see our queen? He has his
shirt's like all the way buttoned down. Yeah.
It's like she's in a good mood this morning.
Lord Friendzone is not happy.
No,
not
Lord
happy at all.
Friendzone.
And then, of course, when he sees Dany, she's wearing her.
Well, she's looking good.
Well,
she's
wearing
good.
the I just had sex outfit.
Oh yeah,
basically.
she looked good. Yeah, she had her glow, looking good. Yeah, that was great.
But I did like the scene, even though it was short, because we got to see some insight in terms of, okay, Jorah can sway Dany in terms of, because she wants to go out there, go back, send Daario.
Just wipe everybody out.
Yeah, kill all the masters at Yunkai and take them out. And he just kind of tells the story. He's like, well, I used to, sell slaves
and
as
if it wasn't
well.
for Ned Stark.
The mercy of Ned Stark, I would be dead. And if you were the ruler, and I would have been killed.
Yeah.
And so then she just changes her mind, says, okay, and she does a thing, which is kind of like a game playing, where it's like, don't tell him I changed my mind, tell him you changed my mind.
Good job, yeah. Kind of like make him feel, he's like, oh, I feel good, because, Jorah does have an attraction to Dany, so.
He was obsessed with her.
He was obsessed with her, so, see another man, get to, have sex with her, he's like, I got something going on too. I can influence her, so that was a good scene. It's nice to see Dany. But then, after all that, then that kind of leads us into talking about Arya and the Hound, who could be the best, grouping on television, period. I mean, you could just make a whole show of Arya and the Hound's adventures.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. We see some of the Hound's compassion in this episode with the man dying. Right. You see him give him water.
Yeah. With him, you think he would just kill him first and be like, I don't want to waste the resources.
Exactly. But that's kind of what he was saying in a previous episode when they stole the money from that one family. He's like, well, they're going to die anyways. They're going to take it. And here's this man that's dying, and you see that he actually has compassion for him, which was something new.
Yeah. And Arya's getting deep.
Well, she's getting deep and she's getting darker because now she's like, oh, nothing is nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Versus like, oh, she didn't really I think the old Arya would have been upset about
Right.
the Hound Mercy killing him,
Yeah.
and not understanding the situation. But I think she's gotten darker,
Yeah,
deeper. You know, life has worn her down, and she now sees kind of the reasoning behind that.
Well, the thing is, Arya, she's in a really dark place because she has no hope for anything beyond this world. Whereas, let's take Melisandre for instance. She is very spiritual. So even though stuff, you know, the night is dark and full of terror, she acknowledges that. But in that, she has Lord of Light. Everything else, Sansa has her fairy tale hopes and dreams, even though she's getting a little darker herself. I mean, but yeah, Arya's like, life is crap. I watched my dad get his head chopped off.
My brother's dead.
Brother's dead.
My
mom's dead. I'm with this, like, basically the baddest man besides the mountain, you know, who's one of the meanest guys out there. I'm with him. This is what I'm doing. I'm killing people now. Obviously, she had no problem killing that guy. You know, she's like, I love that scene when she's like, he can't be on my list. I don't know his name. And then he said his name, and then he's like, whoop, got him. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, and she also is learning from the Hound. Like I had said in a previous episode, you know, she learned where the heart was to kill him, and also then she wipes off the needle, just like the Hound did when he killed that guy.
Yeah, and then of course the great scene with them, you know, with her cleaning his wound and him telling the story about taking one of Gregor Clegane, you know, the mountain, taking his toy, and then the whole fire, and how his dad, you know, said his brother, he felt betrayed because his brother betrayed him, and Arya's like, oh, my brother gave me this sword. I have a, you know, until a lot of them are dead now, but I had a great family, you know, who loved me and everything, and he didn't have any of that, so.
No, and you can kind of see this bond growing between the two, even though the Hound is on her list.
Right.
And she's slowly seeing that this guy isn't as evil or as bad as I thought he was.
Because he was trying to be mean. He said, I wish I never met you. And then he looked over, he's like, you can see he felt bad about saying that.
Also, they learned that Joffrey was dead. This is the first time they heard because
right.
of the bounty on the Hound's head. They thought it was for telling Joffrey to fuck the king.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Right.
But that's not it. It's you know, for killing those other Lannister soldiers. And so, you know, I think Arya is disappointed because I think Arya wanted to kill him herself.
Right.
But, you know, that's
that. The other guy off her list. She's good. I mean, yes. I mean, their interactions are great. I mean, but of course, they're not the only duo in Westeros.
Another good duo.
Have Podrick
and Brienne.
And Brienne. That's, you know, that's also another good duo too. Who meet up with Hot Pie.
Yes.
I didn't think
apparently
this
inn is a pretty popular spot. It must be located in a section where it connects.
It's like In-N-Out Burger in LA. Everybody goes to this spot.
Because think about Catelyn Stark went there, like Arya and the Brotherhood went there.
I think that was the same inn they went to in the first season when they're on their way down the King's Road.
Exactly.
I think it's just like, that's just the spot.
It's a spot. But so, yeah, they see Hot Pie. And I love the interactions between Brienne and Podrick.
Right, yeah.
Because he's kind of a loyal servant, but, you know, a little quirky. And she's so blunt.
Yeah.
You know, like, you can drink, but you can't get drunk.
Yeah, don't get drunk,
Like, and, you know, oh, we need to treat ourselves and we can sleep on a bed tonight with feathers.
But don't expect any other.
Like silk pajamas.
Right, yeah.
So I just love this duo. And then, of course, they learn about Arya from Hot Pie, which, you know, leads them to the path to the Vale.
Yeah, it was great seeing Hot Pie again. I like that he made her another, you know, bread or something, you know, carved into direwolf.
Yeah.
Much better this time.
Yes, last time it looked like, it kind of looked like a wolf, but it looked all messed up. And this one's like all detailed with all this stuff on it.
I mean, Hot Pie is moving up to executive chef. I mean, he's getting good. The boy can make himself a kidney pie.
Yes, and then he has to tell everyone about it and tell them about it. People forget about the gravy and
all this stuff. And it was nice too. Of course, I love Hot Pie. Talk about like those folks from Winter Hell. Like he still thinks that because you wear armor, you must be in melee. He's still.
I mean, that's the thing about this show.
Carries. That's from like season 2.
Yeah, season 2. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing about this show is like the dialogue is so spot on.
And it pays off. Like things you heard in season 2 and season 1 are coming. You know. Are happening. They have consequences, even if it's a small conversation with Hot Pie.
Yeah, and then there's just so much humor, and there's so many layers, and there's all these things in what people say.
Yeah, I mean, and then it was cool seeing Podrick use the knowledge that Tyrion said, you know, you need to learn the names of every major house and their family and their lineage, and so he has a good inkling of where Sansa is and where Arya and the Hound, which they are are probably heading. You know, I guess, which perfectly, you know, sets us up for the final big oh snap moment of Mockingbird.
Yeah. So in the Vale, you know, we see Sansa come out and she sees the snow, and she reminds her of Winterfell, and her face lights up. So she builds that.
Who knew how talented she was? I dare to see anybody else in the North build a better snow castle than that. I mean, I was like, dang, that's a good girl. You are good.
And then of course we have the other like crazy.
Oh, that kid! Oh my god.
Kid.
What's his name? I want to see the fly. I want to see somebody who's obsessed with people. I was so happy when she slapped that kid upside his face. I wanted to see her do it twice.
And then we also see Peter Baelish come in, and there was like, it's weird.
He's just creeping behind that corner. He's like, children. He's just creeping behind that corner.
So then he kind of has this nice moment with Sansa, and then it turns creepy.
Like, after that kiss, did you see his face? Like, he has that look kind of like, it's like this weird, creepy, like, older man look. It's just weird.
Well, the nice moment I'm talking about is where she asks him, like, really, why did you kill Joffrey? And he's like, what do we do to the ones that hurt, or like that hurt the ones we love? You know.
Sansa smile, like Sansa might be getting a little bit darker too herself.
Well, yeah, they had this moment, and then he went into this whole thing about her mom, and you're more beautiful than your mom. I loved her. If things had turned out well, you would have been my daughter. Yeah. Then he kisses her.
Too soon.
Creepy.
Too soon.
Creepy.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then, of course, there's a total Hitchcock moment where then they pan up.
And she's right there.
And you see Lysa up there in the corner like, oh,
yeah.
The one thing I did notice, like with the Sansa thing, is, okay, she didn't want to be kissed. And she was kind of weirded out by it.
Yeah.
But she, at the same time, she didn't, like, shove him away.
No, I mean, she wasn't. I mean, she closed her eyes and let it happen for a few seconds. I mean, in the end, she was like, "Oh wait, no, I probably shouldn't be doing this."
Yeah, I mean, it was creepy. Yeah. But she, she didn't like totally fight. And then
Sansa's not the best luck with men.
No. And then she thought that that's why she was being called in to Lysa. She thought not for the kiss, but for the slapping Robin.
Yeah, Robin. Yeah.
And then we had the moon door sequence where she's like,
"Did you see that coming?" Like, again, as a book reader, I knew that was going to happen, and I like the way they said it. Did you see him probably?
As soon as Peter came into the picture, then I was like, okay, he's going to boot her. I thought he was going to bust out the, "This is Sparta!" and just kick her and have her fly.
Right.
No, but once he stopped her, like at first I thought, because it is Game of Thrones, that possibly Sansa could die, or Lysa could have got thrown in by Sansa. Like they could have struggled. You know, she was kind of threatening her by telling her the story of like what people look like at the end, flying off. But once Baelish came in and said, "Lysa, stop," I was like, okay, he's gonna push her in, and you know, she's obviously crazy and jealous because she's obsessed with him. And of course, he burns her at the end, like, "I only loved one woman."
Your sister. Your sister. Boom. Yeah. Bye bye.
And that's how we end the episode.
Yeah, it was. These last 2 weeks have been great. These last 2 weeks have been really strong. This episode in particular was great, and this was written by Weiss and Benioff. I thought, this was a great episode. So only 3 left.
Only 3 left, and we got to wait 2 weeks till the next one, and everyone's waiting for that Mountain versus Viper fight scene.
It's gonna be great. I'm excited. I'm excited.
All right, guys. So that's what we thought of this episode of Game of Thrones. Let us know what you think. You can post your comments below on the website thinkhero.com or on our YouTube channel Think Hero Pro. Make sure to subscribe to that.
You can also come find us on Twitter. Dennis and myself are at Think Hero. Let us know what you thought about this week's episode, as well as what you think is going to happen. No spoilers, please. And I'm at Griffin DE.
We also have a Facebook page. That's facebook.com/ThinkHeroFans. Make sure you like that page. Share our video on Twitter, Facebook, and other social media.